I'm one of the managers here at CIE for the high school outbound programs. I am based outside Philadelphia, and I have been working in our department for over 6 years, and I've been at CIE for almost 8 years. It'll be 8 years this May. What you're seeing here on the screen is a group of our students last summer. They are on the World Government Program in Lisbon, Portugal. They are wearing their masks, so this leads me to believe it's probably at the beginning of the programming. In many of the countries that we were in last summer, the mask mandate was still pretty prevalent, but nevertheless, we did get to have students back on program last summer, and I can't wait to show you where we are running programs this summer and to help answer questions and get you excited about travel. So if you don't already have a place in mind, I'm sure there are lots of countries that you've been thinking about, or possibly a language you'd like to become fluent in, or just taking off for the summer and going somewhere new. It's been a long time since we've been able to freely kind of mobilize and travel. So I'd like you to think about an option of where you'd like to go, and possibly one of those countries or subject matters might be something that we're offering this summer. Here's a quick list of countries that we are operating in this summer. We're going to be in Europe, Asia Pacific, Latin America, and Africa. And as you can see, there are plenty of countries that we are going to be running programs in. And I'd like to tonight take you through some of those program options and tell you a little bit more about them so that you can kind of narrow down where you might be interested in going abroad. Many students always ask, what am I going to be doing on program? I think this is like one of the most important things to talk about right at the beginning of our presentation, because I want you to have a good feeling about what you'll be doing in the summer. Our programs are really unique, and they're unique in the sense that they are academic programs. You're going to love the curriculum that we have developed. If you're in a language program, you're going to be learning a new language or brushing up on skills that you've been practicing throughout the year in your home school. But our programs are really fun because we make sure during the day that it is packed with activities, adventures, and fun things for you to do while you're learning at the same time. I like to show this slide because this is kind of how a typical day will operate for you, whether you're on a language program or whether you're on one of the subject matter programs. This is kind of the format that we follow, so it will give you a good sense of kind of what is entailed with our curriculum and our activities for the afternoon. So this is a typical language class. I believe this is probably out of our Barcelona office. So what it's showing you is that, starting with picture 1 on the left, students sit through a typical class activity, a learning environment that you're used to at school for at least up to 3 hours, and sometimes less per day. Sometimes it's in the morning and sometimes it's in the afternoon. It just depends on where you're going. In the countries that are a lot warmer, sometimes you'll be doing your activities in the community in the morning and then spending class time in the AC in the afternoon. But here are students in a CIE classroom setting, and they are kind of going over and role-playing phrases for being in a restaurant, greetings, and ordering food, and really taking turns at practicing those phrases and brushing up on their language skills to be able to greet and to be able to order. And what's really cool about our language and culture curriculum is that whatever you learn that morning or afternoon, you're going to have the chance to go out into the community and practice it. So if you're not doing a language and culture program and you're doing a light STEM program or a content study, you'll be doing the same thing. So whatever you're learning about that day, you're going to go out and research and be able to use that experience directly in the community. So in the next picture, you see the students are going to a local tapas restaurant, and they're being able to practice on their skills of ordering, greets and thank yous, and at the same time being able to taste one of the cultural norm cuisines of that country. So we're tying in a whole bunch of different things here throughout the day. Then in the third picture, you get to go to a cooking class to learn how to make those tapas. So here, this would be like a local chef not necessarily from that restaurant, but you'll get to take a class, a cooking class, and learn about the cuisines that are normal to that country and that culture. That's your cultural activity. And again, the cultural activities can range from a cooking class, going to a sporting event, going to see a local street artist, going to a national monument or a historical site, more your typical sightseeing stuff. We get to do plenty of that as well. And then in the end here, you will see, try to move myself here, you'll see this student back at the host stay with her host mom, and the host mom preparing dinner or breakfast, whatever that is, and discussing what went on through the day. And so this is a typical day. As you can see, it going through the different phases throughout the day, it's super active. You will never, ever be bored in our program. And so we keep you very busy, and we make sure that we tie in local community visits that have a lot to do with what you're learning that day, as well as cultural activities. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what you'll be doing when you're on programming. I love this word cloud. I'm sure you guys have all seen it before, but these are all words that we captured. See if I can move this, captured from students last summer. And we put it in a little word cloud because I thought it was really fun to show the different feelings and emotions that students go on as they're departing and while they're on program and when they come home. So this shouldn't be, you know, if there's any parents on the call, this shouldn't be of any surprise. You know, independence, growth, cultural immersion. These are the big things that I think are the huge takeaways for most of our students. But if you students can kind of narrow in and see some of the other comments, best 3 to 4 weeks ever. I've heard that a million times. And then just putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, but at the end, growing from it and coming out with new friendships is always what I love to hear about, all the new friends that students make on programming. If you don't know anything about CIEE, I'll briefly tell you we are one of the largest and oldest nonprofit organizations for study abroad. It stands for the Council for International Education Exchange. And I'm proud to say that we are one and probably one of the most unique organizations that has a very large scholarship fund for high school students to study abroad, which is every summer we are awarding $5.4 million in scholarship awards, which is pretty unprecedented, and there's not a lot of organizations out there to support high school students and on that scale. So we've been, for the last 6 years, increasing access for high school students to do summer abroad programs in the summer. And because of our footprint and our vast experience of exchanges, we do have safety as our #1 priority for our high school students. And I believe that with all the expertise we have on the ground abroad, as well as following the footsteps of our U.S. State Department security and working closely with them, we've been able to do very well in keeping everybody as safe as possible on our programs. So hopefully that will give you a little idea of who we are. This picture here is a group of students on the Spanish language and culture in Madrid. And this would be, like, as I explained, one of those cultural activities where they're going to actually visit a historical site. Something that we changed this year, as you can see, these students here, they are in Rome, Italy. I will say, before I get into the bullet points here, our study center in Rome is literally blocks away from the Colosseum. So the location is fabulous. As you can tell, these girls and the one gentleman in the back there are really excited, and they're out on their program. This was their Discover Rome Through the Arts program. So they're taking a little selfie while they're out. One of the things that we changed for this summer is that we did implement a COVID-19 vaccination requirement. We really felt that that was important because we really want to keep our students safe when traveling to their destination, as well as keeping the community in which we are visiting and studying in safe, and our host families. So our host families are fully vaccinated, our staff are fully vaccinated, and we do have a student vaccination requirement that if you apply and fill out an application, you will see that task in there. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation on that first slide, we had 1,200 students travel last summer, which was great. It was our bounce back from 2020. where everybody kind of was halted and didn't get to go anywhere, but we are back in business and we do have travelers, and we are excited to be able to open the gates again for U.S. high school students to travel abroad. One of the things that happened during COVID that we still have in place as well is that something called the CIA Program Assurance Advantage. You can find that on our website, but parents, if you're on the call, that means that if you participate in confirming a spot for your child on our program and we cancel program or we make any alterations that are different than what we've publicized on the website, which would be kind of going all virtual or anything like that, you are able to cancel and get a full refund. So that way we have parents protected for their investment if something should change and you cannot run programming. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly go into the different type of programs we have. So for you guys, if you've started an application, fantastic, great, I'm so excited. If you're just thinking about it, or if you have opened up a program app, but you've only chosen or thinking about one country, I'm going to run through our different programs and give you a little insight to the application process and what I need you to do on your scholarship app. So we have language and culture programs, which I kind of ran through the day in the life of a language learner I showed you. We offer 6 languages. This summer we'll be offering Spanish, French, German, Italian, Arabic, and Japanese. We did have to postpone our Mandarin program, but hopefully next summer we'll have that back on the table. This French and Spanish do require 1 year of the high school language to apply for those. But the great thing about our other language programs is that you don't have to have any formal experience or instruction, classroom time to be able to apply to those language programs. So 1 year of French and Spanish. If you're applying to an advanced Spanish or French, you need 2 years of the language. But like I said, we offer those other languages as well that you don't need to have a background in. We're really proud to say that the curriculum that we've developed is called a task-based learning. So when I went through that day in the life, when I talked about sitting in the classroom and being introduced to greetings and sayings and being able to order in a restaurant, going out and exercising what you've learned, that's the task-based learning. So what we have found through various different types of studies is that over 4 weeks of doing this type of programming, particularly with language proficiency, it equals 1 year of instruction sitting in a classroom in high school. So the gains you can have over 4 weeks doing this type of curriculum is huge. And so we've heard from teachers before how impressed they were from students to come back to have this full immersion experience on program, and how it really boosts fluency in many different areas of learning a new language was phenomenal. And I also mentioned that all of our language and culture programs do come with a homestay. So you will be living with a host family. Again, these are vetted through CIEE. It's a really important part of the program, and that is because our host families are very familiar with our curriculum. They are trained and they are there participating voluntarily, but they're there participating to make sure that you're getting all the added benefits of their culture, their knowledge, and them being able to practice that language with you morning and night. And so you are spending breakfast and dinner with your host families on the program. The other unique thing about the language and culture programs is that we have a school of record with Tulane University. So this is very attractive for a lot of juniors, or if you're getting ready to graduate. This course offers 4 college credits. They could possibly be elective credits through Tulane University once you finish the program. So if you do finish the language and culture program, you can opt into purchasing the transcript from Tulane for $150. Again, this is something you do in April before traveling. It's not mandatory, but I always tell students and parents it's probably the cheapest college credits you're going to purchase, $150. So that's an option. So those are the language and culture programs. If you are applying for a scholarship, I strongly suggest you have at least one language and culture program as an option in your application. It's very important because a large portion of our scholarship money does go towards the language and culture programs. So the other type of programs, whoops, sorry about that. The other type of programs we have are our thematic programs. I love this photo. For some reason in this presentation, it's very heavy on Portugal, but that's okay. If any of you, if you've been to Portugal before, I have not. It's a beautiful country, and who would have known? Surfing is one of the big cultural aspects of Lisbon. Portugal has been named one of the best surfing places, meccas in the world to surf. And funny enough, this student is on the aquatic ecosystem program in Lisbon, Portugal, but one of their cultural activities is to learn how to surf. So here he is surfing in the afternoon, probably after doing some of his research with his students. But that's just another way to show you like how we integrate fun into our academic programs. So the thematic programs are 3 weeks long. They cover an array of different topics, which are really cool. We have environmental science, international relations. We have a global entrepreneurship program, a world government program. We have art programs, a lot of different topics that you can research on our website if you are aiming for something that's a little bit more content driven versus the language programs. And they are 3 weeks long. Some of them do come with host family stays. So on our website, what I recommend is that you do kind of look on that page to see what the housing option is. It will tell you on the website if the housing option is CIE housing or a host family stay. So you can look at that on our website. We also, during these programs, we offer up to 50 hours of service learning. So some of the programs will have like 12 hours of service, and this is something you'll be doing on the program. You'll be possibly volunteering or working in local organizations that have to do with what you're researching or the content area of that topic. And like I said, these are great programs as well. They are in different locations. Some of them don't necessarily have the opportunity for scholarship. So if you are really looking to get a scholarship, but these programs are attractive to you, like I said, by all means apply to one of these, but try in your program app to at least list one language and culture program. So I wanted to talk a little bit about who qualifies for scholarships. That might be something on your mind. For the awards for the Merit and Need scholarships, so they're called Merit and Need, but what they are is they are scholarships that will look at your grades, they'll look at your application, and they'll also look at your parents' financial statement within your application. So we kind of put together who you are as an academic student, as well as kind of what category your parents fall into for need. We also need applicants to be US citizen or permanent residents. You need to be a freshman, sophomore, or junior to qualify for this type. So hopefully all of you fall within that category, but if for some reason you are a senior, or if you are a senior, then you can apply for the merit only, which are only based on grades. And it is a 10% discount if you're accepted on program for the merit only. In your application, so what do you have to do to come up with a successful and a competitive application? So I'm going to walk through a couple of these points that are over here. Again, this is our group in Rabat, Morocco. It's leadership through outdoor education. As you can see outside here, some of the students had the luxury of taking their masks off. It may be towards the end of programming, but they had a little bit more flexibility here. It's a beautiful picture and nice sunny day. So in the program app and scholarship app, again, this is one application, it's done online, but there are two parts of it, which is the program app and the scholarship app. You'll have a series of short essay questions, and they're not, very long. Typically these questions can be answered with 3 or 4 sentences, but you'll have a few of those in both applications. My recommendation to you guys all is to write them down and work on them outside of your application, have somebody review them, and then you can go and submit them. It's really important that you answer the questions and you have somebody proofread your answers, because the points from these do matter. So that's one part of the application. You will have to upload an unofficial transcript So you don't need to have anything official. Please make sure on that transcript, it does have your name and your school on that piece of paper so we can identify that that is really yours. You'll also have to pick a teacher that knows you well. Again, it doesn't have to be somebody, if you're applying to a language program, ideally it should be your language teacher, but we want somebody who can speak to your skills and say something positive about you. So again, you're flexible on who you choose for your teacher recommendation, and you're going to just get their email address, and you're going to put their email address in the task and hit submit, and it will actually send a prompt to the teacher to fill out your form. Make sure you let them know you're going to be doing this, because a lot of times we see students, they will ask a teacher for a recommendation, but they haven't even told them that they did that. So teachers are not looking for the email. Terms and conditions, your parents have to read the terms and conditions online, and then there's an electronic signature box to type their name in. This is really important. You cannot submit your application without them doing that. Please make sure you guys are telling your parents about this and have them sign that, because it's really embarrassing for us to be able to call and say you've been accepted and have families not really aware of what you have applied for. And then the last part about the need part of the scholarship is the financial supporting documents. We will ask parents to fill in information there for us to be able to figure out what amount to award you. And that is generally based on a tax return and some other criteria that we ask on that form. So those are the parts that are important for your parents to do. Budget. So even if you do qualify for a scholarship, there are things that a scholarship would not cover if you were awarded. So let's say that you're applying to a program that is $5,000 and you do a great application and you do qualify for the need, and you're lucky enough to get an email saying, congratulations, you've been accepted to the CIE program in Barcelona. Your award is $5,000, which generally, if you do receive, anywhere between a 90 and 100% scholarship, that will cover your tuition and all your costs in country. But what it does not cover is your airfare. So you want to think about where you're applying to. Generally, programs that are in Africa, Asia, the airfare is a lot steeper than if you were to go closer to home. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at locations. And then also, if you do not qualify for a full scholarship and you get a partial scholarship, you will have a balance to pay off in April before you travel. And then spending money. We always cover this in some of the orientations, but if you have a question about how much spending money you might need, every country is different and every student is different, just depending on what you're used to purchasing. In some locations, there's not a lot of markets, there's not a lot of access to things anyways. I mean, we provide all your host families or CIE dorms provide all your meals and drinks. But if you want to buy a souvenir, if you during your free time want to go out with a new friend that you've made to get a gelato or an ice cream or something, it's probably a good idea to have a little bit of spending money, and we can cover that in the orientation for you as well. And then again, your passport. You have to travel with a passport. So if you know you're going to be traveling this summer, regardless of what type of scholarship type you get, make sure your passport is valid. It needs to be valid for 6 months past when you come home. So check that. And if you don't have a passport and you know you might be traveling, it's a good idea to apply for one now and not wait. So again, those are the most important things about the budget to keep in mind. If any of you have your phone and you have a QR code scanner and have not started an app, please scan this, because that will take you to where you can start a new account and get started on an application. Love to see some new people start applications tonight. That'd be wonderful. And just important things when you're starting in your application. So when you click on that, it's going to ask you to put in an email and create a password. So make sure you use an email that you can regularly check and use an easy password that you'll remember to be able to log in and out of your account. You remember you're going to be choosing a high school summer program. There might be other options in there, but you want to make sure that you're choosing the summer programs, and then the scholarship types. If you are going to be a rising sophomore or junior, or if you're a freshman currently, you can apply for the merit and need. So make sure you're picking the right scholarship type when that drop down comes in the boxes. So it is 8:27. I know I generally run through that pretty quickly, and which is great, and sometimes because I like to go through the questions and answers. So let me just quickly look at our Q&A. Some question about if you want to go on an exchange, is it full? So it depends on which exchanges you're talking about. Summer, we have lots of spots open. You still have the chance to apply. If you're looking for semester program, we have applications open for fall semester programs. Great, I'd like to see, yes, I'll have a recording of the presentation. So everybody that registered tonight will be getting a link of the presentation. There is no housing option for language programs, right? Correct. So language programs come with host family stays. There is no other option for housing on the language and culture programs, if that's what you meant by that. So that was it for the Q&A. Let's go to the chat. Looks like we've got, oops, we've got, let's see if I can go down. Are there multiple participants per host family? Great question. So summer, we try to pair students up with other high school students. Generally, that's what we like to do. Last summer was a little difficult because we did change the requirements for host families to be able to accommodate and provide their own bathroom. And students had to have single accommodations last summer due to COVID. So this summer, I think it might be a little bit different. I think we will be able to do more pairing up with high school students. So, you know, a female high school student could be paired up with another female from maybe another school. And again, it just depends on the host family's home size. We want to make sure that the accommodations can suit multiple students. How do you start a scholarship app? When you open a program app, it will have a task that says, are you applying for a scholarship? And you hit yes, choose that merit and need type, and that will open up the scholarship app. Let's see. You've been having a hard time uploading the teacher recommendation. Can you explain how you can do that? So I'm going to put in here, well, it's on the screen as well. You guys can email hsabroad@CIEE. If you've already put a teacher email in there and it's not working, all we need to do is reset it for you so that you can either put the email back in again, or we can change the email address for you. GPA. For the transcript, what do we do if our school runs into a unique grade? Yeah, so if you have a unique grading scale, in that task for the GPA, if you open it up fully and read the comments and instructions, you should be able to see what you're able to put in there. But I have seen people upload multiple transcripts if they're not on a 4.0 scale, if they're on a ranking or meets expectations. You just have to put the explanation, you have to put your transcript in there and then put the guide or the rubric that goes with it so that we understand what the numbers mean. So the first scholarship deadline did pass. We were fortunate to get the approval for a second one. So if you did not submit your application fully on January 14th, now's your chance to finish your application and get it in by February 16th. And this will be the final deadline. There will not be any other ones after that. So make sure if you are applying for a scholarship that you get it in by February 16th. Let's see, we've got some other ones. When do you hear back from program? If you're applying for a scholarship and got your application in January 14th, you will be receiving awards on the week of February 14th. If you apply February 16th, we do plan to do awards fairly shortly afterwards, probably sometime the week of the 23rd, shortly after that, you'll be getting awards. We only have rolling basis for enrollment if you're a non-scholarship student. So if you are not applying for a scholarship and you want to get on a program after the deadline, we will have enrollment open probably until, I'd say, April, maybe a little bit past that, for any student to apply. So good question about visas. A lot of our programs, you do not need to have a visa in order to enter the country. For those countries that do require visas, like Ghana, we do assist in the paperwork and the instructions for you how to apply, but we actually don't get the visa for you. So we would support you with kind of where to go, what paperwork is needed, and any documentation you need for your appointment, we would be able to give you. Let's see what else we have. I know Cynthia asked about, do we submit the scholarship application before our program application? You actually can't submit either until they're both fully submitted. The neat thing about our application is that you can finish tasks and hit submit, and it will go to a green icon and continue to work through your tasks. But the whole application won't actually submit until you're done with everything. Your application can go into a submit or an in review status if you're missing potentially like the terms and conditions or maybe one task, the teacher recommendation. But you won't be able to submit the program app without the scholarship app if you have both open and you selected, yes, I'm applying for a scholarship. If you're applying for a scholarship, the deadline is the 16th, yes. Teacher recommendation is not optional unless you're applying for merit only. Merit only applicants don't have to have a recommendation, I believe. So once accepted in the program, who do we report to in regards to flights, etc.? Great question. So once you're accepted on the program, there'll be stages of the process to getting ready to travel. One will be, you'll have, once you receive your award email, you'll have some time to be able to talk it over with parents. You'll be able to attend some health, safety, and security webinars, and then you'll need to verbally confirm whether or not you accept your award and your participation. And then moving forward, once your application goes to confirm, it will open up a whole new host of tasks, and you will have information about your contact of who to stay in touch with, but we will be in regular communication with you about the tasks that need to be finished and what's the timeline for everything. And for flights, we will have that information in your application once you're confirmed of how to book your flight and what the group flight is. So you can, so that was a great question about the one dose. Again, if you've only had the first dose now, that's fine. In that task, it will say, are you vaccinated fully or not? You can choose, no, I'm not, but you can put in the next icon. You could say that you will be fully vaccinated by the time you travel. So that's fine. We do realize not everybody's vaccinated right now, but as long as you answer the question then in the task, you'll be able to move on to other parts of the application. You do get to meet your host families before you go. So at least 1 week before travel, you are introduced to your host families. You're given all of their information, their background information, and then you both exchange either your phone numbers, your emails, or your WhatsApp, or any type of social media that you use so that you guys can connect virtually and have a phone call to meet each other. But absolutely, you'll know your host family before you go. There was a question about, I saw there's a question. If you have important test exams while you are abroad, are you still able to take them? So we do try to have you go on a session where you're fully free of any things, but we know that's not necessarily 100% possible for a lot of students. It just depends on what the exam and test is that you need to take, but most of the time you can work that out with your coordinator or your chaperone when you're on program, and we can work around that to make sure we can accommodate some one-offs. But again, we're not looking to be able to give you daily increments of time to be able to take in another class, because you are fairly busy. But for an exam, yes, we could make an exception and help you schedule that. So is there any language prep before you go? Is there any downtime for students? Yes, on program students have free time. There's free time every single day at some point during the day. Language prep we do for the language programs that don't have any requirements. I know that we're trying to put together some resources for you to be able to do stuff and prep on your own. For the Spanish and French, trying to think the other programs, everything but Arabic, you'll be taking a pre and post stamp test. So for French and Spanish, you'll be taking a proficiency test online before you go. And when you get on programming, you'll be taking a communication test. And this is not to place you in or out of a program. It doesn't mean the proficiency test is not meaning that you can't travel. It's more of us to have a gauge and a range of where your true level is so that we can put you in the right group while you're on programming. And we also test at the end of programming. So it's a really great gauge to see how much you've gained during that time. So this summer we'll probably have, I would say, as close to 1,600, 1,700 travelers on program. Each location has a different amount of participants. Some programs are, 20 to 25 participants. Some other programs are up to 100. It just depends on where you're going. But that being said, it is possible that you'll still be broken into smaller groups while doing activities in country to make sure that we're still maintaining COVID protocols if they're still in place. Yeah, so the website, some of the details haven't been fully updated. So just so you are aware, yes, we do. That is for sure that we have a second, February 16th is our second deadline. What are the typical host families like? I always like to say that they come in all shapes and sizes. And that being said, sometimes you have a single host mom who, is a single mom. Her kids have moved out of the house. She just enjoys hosting students for cultural exposure and really gets a kick out of doing that. Other times you'll be with a family that is a mom and a dad with kids. And so in your application, once you are accepted, there'll be a task called your home away from home. And in this task, you'll be able to outline what you're looking for a host family. Are you looking for siblings? Do you like pets? Are you somebody who likes to, work together when putting dinner together? Or are you somebody that likes to stay in your room to do your homework? So all of these things we'll take into consideration when we are pairing you up with your host family. Yes, a recording will be sent to everybody tonight. So don't worry about that. Anybody that registered and came tonight, you will be getting a recording of the presentation. No problem. What else can I answer for you guys? Great questions. Keep them going. If you have more. Hopefully all of you have started an application. Is there a curfew for students? Yes, there is a curfew for students. Again, it depends on where you are, on what program. Some of the programs that don't have host families and they are CIE dormitories, there are locks that take place so that you can't go in and out of the property after a certain time. Generally, they're in the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock range. It just depends on where you are. Remember, in some countries, cultures don't eat dinner time around 6:30 like Americans. Sometimes dinner is 8:39. So everything gets bumped back a little bit, and that's common for that culture. Also, in some of the countries, it's really, really hot between 3 and 6. So you typically wouldn't see people out around that time. They're either, in home in AC, taking a siesta, or at the beach. So again, timing can always change depending on where you are. How do you get around? So students, you have access to public transportation. A lot of you will get a Metro card. You will be shown and explained how to get to the study center every single day. Your host families will assist in making sure you understand the route and take you a couple times so that you can get that down yourself. But like I said, some places you'll be able to be on foot, or you'll be able to use the local transportation, which in some locations is very, very easy. For credit for the STEM programs, the content study, we don't have those, we do not have a school of record with Tulane for those programs, but you do receive a certificate from CIE upon completion of our programs. And if your school has a service hour requirement or has a requirement that you're interested to see if you can get waived or credit for, you can just let us know if you're looking for a syllabus or anything that we could possibly produce for you to give back to your school. You don't see any section about GPA, any grading scale. If you have more questions about GPA, please make sure you can email the hsabroad@cie.org for those specific things around GPA. So apply for multiple programs. Yes, so you can apply. What I suggest you doing is you open up one application. In that application, on one of the tasks, it will say, tell me more, and you will be able to choose a first and a second alternative. And I strongly recommend you do this. This is why I told you at the beginning of the presentation to kind of pick one language and culture if you really need a scholarship, and then pick variety of different programs so that if something is full, we can offer you your second, but you just need one application. And you can have different sites. If you are looking to travel for the full summer and you are able to do that, by all means, you can apply for session 1 program and a session 2. But remember, scholarships are only awarded for one program, so you can't get 2 scholarships for the 2 sessions. It would just be for the 1 session, but you can go on multiple sessions. Great question about the flights. This year, actually, and most years, but this year in particular, all of our programs will have a group flight. So we will have a group chaperone flight. It will be chaperoned either by the hired program leader for the program, or it will be a CIE staff person like myself that would be chaperoning the students over from the US hub airport to the final destination of the country and on programming, whether that is to our study center for orientation that day or meeting them up with their host families. And we do strongly suggest all group flights. That is really important for students to be on a chaperone group flight. What is the normal number of student programs? Not sure what you mean by that. We have, maybe if you want to explain a little bit more. Oh, how many students participate in each program? Again, every program is different. Every site is different. Our marine ecology program in Lisbon, Portugal tends to be on the smaller side. So, and sometimes they're between 20 and 25 students per session. Language programs in Madrid, Paris, Barcelona can be up to 100 students per session. So it just depends on where you're going. But even if you go on a program in a larger city that has a big student population, you will be broken up into smaller groups for activities and for the lessons. It's usually a 20-to-1 ratio, sometimes 10-to-1. So students that are in a group of 20, you'd have probably a chaperone, a program leader, and a site staff taking them on all of their excursions and their activities. So we don't have, so that's funny. Before I say no, We do have chaperoning, well, they're not chaperoning, we have program leader opportunities, which are on our website under teacher opportunities. So if you are a US teacher, you can apply to be a program leader. But at this time, we don't have parents as chaperones. We make sure that all of our chaperones are full-time CIE staff so that they can fully assist and go through the process of getting students to the final destination safely. Any other questions, guys? Some great questions tonight. We will be hosting a health, safety, and security webinar coming up in February. The great thing is when you do start an application, it gives us the chance to have your email. And if you get through the emergency contact part of the application, you can put your parents' emails in there. That way we can email you upcoming webinars and things to attend. So that's the nice thing about starting an application. So all the costs are on our website. I will tell you the range, the price range of our programs can be anywhere from $4,200 to $7,200. It just depends on what program it, where the program is and what the topic is. But all the prices are up to date on our website. Thank you guys so much for attending and taking the time to come tonight and listen about our programs. So service learning is when you are actually going to be working with a local organization or helping out in the community on a task that has to do with that community. So it's almost like volunteer work. That's what service learning hours are. So you might be volunteering a certain number of hours per week to do volunteer work. Thank you guys so much for all your questions. So yeah, we have representatives. If you call that 866 number any time during the day, somebody will answer to be able to answer questions that you might have. We have specific representatives for states that handle school relations, and we also have enrollment coordinators that can talk to parents. But again, the best way to have specific things answered for you is to call the 866 number or to email the HS Abroad with your specific question, and we will make sure within 72 hours to get back to you. But the 866 number is staffed every single day, so you should be able to get through to somebody, or if you leave a voicemail, someone will call you back. So what does the college credit go for? Well, when you go to college, there are certain courses and electives that you have to take to get credit for. And generally language is an arts elective. So when you apply to college and you had a school of record from Tulane with 4 college credits, it would be up to that registrar to decide what they give you credit for and how many towards what. That's how that works. Medical insurance required. That's a great question. So all of our programs come with what's called iNext insurance. This is a supplemental insurance that comes free with the tuition that covers major medical evac, any surgeries or any hospitalizations within country, anything that can be handled by a local clinic. Like a common dysentery, or if you've got a scrape or a scratch or something like that, we would take you to a local clinic. But again, that's how the insurance works overseas. And generally, most of the local clinics that you go to, the out-of-pocket that can be fully reimbursed by the iNext insurance is very minimum compared to here in the States for appointments. So the difference between advanced Spanish or French for a level 3, again, our the way that we assess levels isn't necessarily the same as your level that you are in high school, because in some high schools, if you take Spanish 1 as a sophomore and you finish it that year, you immediately roll into Spanish 2. And so sometimes that's why we use the stamp proficiency test, because sometimes even though you're in a level 3, you may test fluency wise either lower or higher. And so that's why we use the proficiency exams prior to programming to make sure that you're in the appropriate group. But if you apply to an advanced language program, the difference between that and the regular is that they really do aim to stay in the target language the entire time. So they will not want to hear you asking questions in English. They do not want to hear you chatting with your friends in English. From the time that you step foot on the CIE property, you should be in that target language and staying in that target language for most of the day. That's the difference between the advanced and the non-advanced. And again, a level 3 or 4 can go on a regular program. You don't have to go on the advanced. One of the neat things about languages is that the more you use the language and the more you hear, the more proficiency gains you have. So even if you're in a higher level within French and Spanish, you still will have gains and have a great experience on our normal program. If you've taken 4 years of French but 1 year of English, would I have a better chance of getting to the French? Yes, so you can't apply to the Spanish program if you've never taken Spanish. You would have to apply for a French program, or if you speak French fluently and you're looking to pick up another language, you could try Italian, German. You don't have to actually have a background in that language to apply. That's the great thing. Currently, we do not have information about the boosters. So we are not requiring students to be boosted at this time. Exemptions for non-vaccination, again, in the task, in the account, if you are not vaccinated and don't plan to be vaccinated, there is a task there's a link within that task where you can petition our board, and they will review the petition to see whether or not you qualify. Again, it is pretty strict, but you're more than welcome to fill out that petition in that form and have it reviewed. When do you need to decide? Well, you kind of need to decide, because if you're opening up an advanced program application and scholarship app, or if you want to put in advanced as an alternative, that's fine too. But you would need to know once you start your application. If you're doing French, you can pick maybe one of the regular programs and have the advanced as an option if you have that requirement set down. We have a couple more minutes, and then I will go and I'll make sure that everything is recorded and saved. I thank you all so much for coming and listening tonight and being inspired. And parents, thank you for being open to a study abroad experience for your child. You're in the right place, and we have a lot of referrals. We have a lot of students that have gone on our program, so if you're looking for a parent to speak to ask about programming, go ahead and email the hsabroad@CIEE, and we'll help you out with that. Hope you guys all have a safe evening wherever you are in the country. Stay warm if you're somewhere cold, and send us the warm weather if you're somewhere warm. You're welcome. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming.